Hello everyone, today is a very exciting day because we will be learning how to create Hex-A-Gone from Fall Guys, but in Roblox Studio. Now if you guys want to learn how to do it, then let's keep on watching and follow along with me. So first we need to make the hexagon in which the player will stand on, and for this one I had to create my own. It is comprised of one rectangle and 1, 2, 3, 4 triangle parts. And overall size is 8 by 8 studs. If I were to union this, as you can see on the grid that's on the base plate, it is 8 by 8 studs as well as on the size. Now this is important because we kind of want it to be uniform when we create our map. If I duplicate it and I move it around, it'll fit pretty nicely whenever I make the map like this. So it just kind of makes things easier to make things more uniform and exact. After that, we will go ahead and actually make our script under server script service. Let's go ahead and reference the part. Okay, so I named it tile, and actually we will put it in a folder because we will have a bunch of these tiles. Put them inside of it, name this folder tiles, and then alter the path. Okay, that looks good. And for this tile, we need to have a touch event. So I created a touch event and I connected a function to it. Now let's go ahead and check if whoever touches this part is a player. So let's pass in part as a parameter because the touch event passes in the object that is being touched. Now instead of checking the part if it is a model, we need to check if the part's parent is a model. That is because our player consists of many body parts, and each of the body parts is this part, so we need to check the parent, which will be our model. Now to test that, we can go ahead and print out the parent. We can print out the name of the parent, and if we play it, then if we touch this part, my name pops up. Also, we can go ahead and actually anchor this. Oh, it is already anchored. Now that we have the part's parent, we need to check if it is a model. And if it is not a model, then we need to return it. After that, we need to check if there exists a humanoid in the part. So I did the same thing as this model part where I checked if it is not a humanoid because we don't care about executing further code if it is not a model nor humanoid, which kind of insinuates it is a character. So after that, we can go ahead and destroy the tile part. And now if we run this, you can see that when we touch the part, it disappears. So let's go ahead and get the tween service. Okay. And so now that we have the tween service, let's go ahead and create our properties and tween info. So we will create a table for the properties. And now in here, we want to list what we want to change as the tween's happening. So I would want to change the transparency, color, and the size. Now we will change the color. And the color that I will change it to is white. White is 255 in terms of RGB, as well as the size. So I think that we can set the size to expand in every direction. So we want to set it to 299. That is because it will expand one stud in every direction, as our hexagon that we made is 1 by 8 by 8. So it will expand one stud in every direction. So after we have properties done, we can go ahead and work on our tween info. So we'll set it to tween info.new. And we will have it to 1 second duration. Set the easing style to linear. And we'll set the easing direction to out. We will have 0 for the amount of times it will repeat. And we do not want it to go back and forth, so we will set this to false. And for the amount of seconds that we want the tween to start, we will set to 0. And delete this one. So after that, we can go ahead and create our tween. We will say local tween equals tween service, create. And now we want the part that gets modified by the tween, and that is the union. So we will go ahead and say tile.union as the part, and then we can go ahead and put the tween info and properties. Now we can go ahead and play the tween. Before we do that, we do not want to destroy the tile before the tween actually starts its animations. For now, we can go ahead and add a task. I'll wait 1 second. So if we go ahead and play it, if we walk on this block, it expands. And now there is a problem that arises, because what if we have a bunch of these parts, and that will actually happen because our map will consist of a bunch of these parts that will have their own script in it. And to combat this, we will actually use what is called collection service, and we will be using a plugin called Tag Editor, and I will link that in the description. So all it basically does is that we can basically tag, let's see, I will open up this tag window and we can create our own tag. I will name this Hex, okay? And we will tag this part, and basically it will allow us to kind of reuse our code for whatever we tagged. So instead of having a bunch of scripts for all these different parts, we can just have one script that controls every part that is tagged by what we specify. Now, actually, before I do that, we can go ahead and clean up our script. We can make our own function for the tweens. So I'll call this function startTween. Right? And for now, I will not pass anything. And I will move properties and the tween info. And then I will also pass in this. Okay. And I will go ahead and call startTween. So we can go ahead and start on collection service. We can go ahead and get whatever's tagged with hex as we specified the tag to be hex. So I will make it at the bottom over here. Loop through all the tag that has hex on it. So I'll create a for loop. And then what we want to loop through is get tagged collection service, colon get tagged. And what we want to get tagged is hex. And now we need to move all of what we have in here, but except the tweens part. And our tiles, we don't not need that, because this tile is the unique tile that is tagged. And now we have an error here where tile is unknown. So what we could do is when we start the tween, we can pass in tile. Let's go ahead and test it out. So as you can see, it works. Now let's put in 2 tiles. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. And duplicate it some more. Okay, that was good. Now our game feels extremely bland, so to spice it up, we can add sounds. What I have here is I imported a sound from the asset store which replicates a popping sound. That's the sound, and it will play whenever the part gets destroyed. So what we need to do is we need to get the sound service. So after we get sound service, we need to path towards pop. And I could go ahead and do it over here. Okay, and let's go ahead and test it out. So if we run over it, it should pop. Oh, so that's not what we want to do. So basically what happens is this touch event fires rapidly. I will actually go ahead and do a print. And which leads to the sound being played numerous amount of times at the given instance. So as you can see, there's only 4 hexes, but it print out 72 times. Now to combat this, we actually need to have a debounce. And we need to have a debounce dictionary because we are using collection service, and each of these hex tiles, they need their own debounce. So I will go and create a debounce table at the top. It will be a dictionary, but I normally just call them table. If debounce table tile and return. This is because after we check if it is an actual character, we can do all the debounce checks. Set this to whatever we want to return it as. So we want to return it whenever it's true. So whenever it's false or whenever it's nil, we set it to true. And we can go ahead and set this to nil after we wait. Okay, now if we play it, it should give us the results that we want. So as you can see, it plays once and something only prints out once. Now, there's something I kind of want to change about this, and that is to remove this task.wait. That is because if we decide to change anything about the tween info, we also have to change this task.wait. And what an alternative that we could do is we can use we can use tween.completed up here in this tween function. So I'll go ahead and remove this, and I will cut this out and go ahead and do tween completed. I'll connect it to a function. And in this function, I will paste in whatever I cut, and that is setting the debounce table, playing the sound, and destroying the tile. And if we play it, it should still give us the same result as we had before. And as you can see, there's no error and everything looks good. So that's kind of it for making sure that all of these hexes work, all these tiles are working fine. And now we can actually go ahead and proceed with making the map. So I started working on the first row of this map. And as you can see, it's comprised of all these hexes, and I moved them. I used a 0.5 stud to move them. So I highlighted them, I copied and pasted them and moved them to the left and right. And that was the first row that I completed. Now, that was a lot of things I had to do, but what if I had to do the same thing for all these different rows? And for those rows, I actually want to change its color. Now that's going to take a lot of time because what I have to do is I have to duplicate this. I have to go inside, where is it on here? It's over here. I have to go inside hex. I have to change the color one by one. What I can actually do is I can go into script, and all of these should be tagged. As you can see, all these are tagged with hex. I can actually change the union's color. So I'll go ahead and change the color. It was brick color.new. And let's give it a blue color. So steel blue. It should turn into, oh, okay, we got an error. Union is not a valid member of model workspace. So what I actually did wrong was that instead of union, I actually named all of these tiles to hex. So if you guys kept it as union, that's okay. You could just keep this name, but since I named it as hex, I have to change all these names. So there's 3 instances where I need to change it, and those are all 3. And if we go ahead and run it, as you can see, this is a shortcut where we can select what we changed, Control C to copy it, and we can click this folder, Control Shift V, or you can right click on the tiles folder and then paste into. And then as you can see, we did not need to do all the changes. Paste again. We did not need to go inside individually one by one and change their colors. And let's say that I wanted to do it for a red color too. We can do bright red. And if we run it, I can select the red and we can make our third row. Right? So this is our third row, and if I play it, we do not want to spawn down here. We want to move our spawn up here temporarily. Let's go ahead and move it up and a little bit to the center. And now if we play it, if we fall down one by one. But there's also one thing I need to change, is that I need to delete this line of code. I do not want to make it all red. So there you go. It's blue, red, and yellow layers. So I will go ahead and kind of create the map. I will create 6 layers and I'll be back. So I'm back with a redesigned map, and what I have done is I created 6 layers, and I just created little designs in the back just to kind of keep things a little more interesting. And I moved the spawn up a little bit. It serves the same functionality. If I play it, fall down, just keep falling down until eventually we reach the last layer and we die. Right? So one thing that I will add is I will kind of create a spawn box, because I kind of want players to spawn in a large area. So I will go ahead and expand this. I will also actually delete this decal because I kind of don't want that, and I will change this color to white. I will also create a folder, and in this folder I will name it spawn box. Move the spawn location in here, and then I will create invisible barriers so that players cannot leave it. And let's make this all transparent. Oops. And now we can go ahead and go to our script, and after 3 seconds I want to make this platform disappear. Yeah, at the bottom I can go and get this spawn location and set its transparency to 0. Workspace.spawnbox, and we want to get spawn location, and we'll set the spawn location's transparency to 1, and this will be after 3 seconds. Okay, now if we play it, after 3 seconds this spawn should disappear. One more thing I forgot to change is the can't collide. This is so that the player falls through it. I can see it happened, and now we play the game as normal. And one thing I also want to add is kind of a background music to kind of make things more enticing. So I imported this from the asset store and I called it music, and it kind of sounds like this. Right? Sounds kind of fun. Sounds like it belongs in our game. So we'll go ahead and play it right when the game starts. So over here is where we're going to put it. So we get our sound service .music play. So we're going to play this music right when the script starts. Okay. So we'll go ahead and keep playing this, and actually feels more of a Fall Guys type of game. And we're just going to continue it until we get to the bottom. Right. So I believe that's actually it. I have covered everything, and I don't think there's anything else we need to change about this game. And thus we have finished our Hex-A-Gone game from Fall Guys. If you guys have any comments or anything you want me to code, feel free to let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have learned something.